For decades, navigating the web was basically like using a massive public highway system. Like you want to find something, you look up the coordinates, the keywords, you hop on the search engine highway, and you drive straight to a public website.
Right. It was a very simple, direct transaction.
Exactly, it was simple. But looking through the massive SEO daily technology report from August 6, 2026, it is just abundantly clear that this public highway system is being completely demolished.
It really is. I mean, they're tearing up the asphalt.
Yeah, we are looking at an internet being carved up into these private gated toll roads, and they're all guarded by artificial intelligence. So welcome to the deep dive. We're parsing some incredibly wild data from this specific August 6, 2026 report, and it basically proves that the internet we all grew up with is officially dead.
I mean, it's a harsh way to put it, but the data from this August 2026 snapshot completely backs you up. The fundamental economics of how information moves online have just entirely fractured.
So we're really at the end of an era here.
We are. We are definitively moving away from the era of, crawling for free. The new architecture of the web is built on licensed data, autonomous AI agents that just execute tasks in the background, and conversational search that is so hyper-personalized, the whole idea of a universal search engine barely even applies anymore.
Which is wild to think about. And to really grasp this, we have to look at the bedrock level, right? Like how these massive AI models are actually getting the data they use to answer our questions. Because that pipeline is shifting dramatically.
It's a structural shift.
Yeah, and just weeks before our August 6 anchor report, in July 2026, Cloudflare launched the Monetization Gateway. And to me, looking at this is exactly where the public highway turns into a toll road.
That's the practical effect, yeah.
Yeah.
But the actual mechanics behind Cloudflare's move are what make it so incredibly disruptive. So the Monetization Gateway is attached to their Attribution Business Insights dashboard.
Right.
And this gives website publishers a really surgical view of exactly which AI bots are hitting their servers. But the big shift, the game changer, is that it finally allows site owners to automatically enforce a paywall.
Wow.
Yeah, they can actually charge AI agents for scraping their web pages, accessing their APIs, or, and this is key tapping into their model context protocol, their MCP tools.
Okay, hold on. Let's pause on that for a second. MCP tools. I mean, I see that acronym literally everywhere in this 2026 data, but what is it actually doing in this specific context?
Sure, so think of model context protocol as like a universal translator and a VIP access badge rolled into one.
Okay.
When an AI wants to pull live data from a website, say it's checking real-time flight inventory or pulling like live weather data, it doesn't just read the text on the screen the way a human does.
Right, it's not looking at the front end.
Exactly. It uses MCP as a standardized, highly secure bridge to plug directly into the website's back-end database, extract the exact data it needs, and bring it right back to the user.
Yep.
And what Cloudflare is doing is essentially giving publishers the ability to put a credit card reader right on that bridge.
Okay, so publishers are finally getting paid. Because, the AI companies have just been vacuuming up the open web for years, right? Training their models for free and completely bypassing the original creators. So putting a toll booth on that MCP bridge sounds like a massive win for publishers.
On paper, yes, absolutely.
But I have to push back here a little bit because this feels like a terrifying game of chicken for an actual business owner. Like if you put up that toll booth and the AI crawler decides your content just isn't worth the cover charge, don't you just become completely invisible?
Yes.
Like if you aren't in the AI's answer, you literally do not exist to the user anymore.
That is the exact gamble. And, it's not some hypothetical risk. The major AI companies are incredibly well-funded, obviously, but they aren't going to pay every single independent blog on the internet.
Right. They can't afford to license the entire web.
Exactly. So if you gate your content and you don't hold a strict monopoly on that specific information, the AI is simply going to route around you and find a cheaper or open source.
So who actually has the leverage to charge the toll then?
The platforms with highly structured, exclusive, and verifiable data at massive scale. And this is exactly why the Yelp announcement from July 2026 is such a crucial turning point.
Oh man, the Yelp and OpenAI deal? Yeah, that completely changes the board.
It rewrites the playbook entirely. Yelp officially bypassed the open web by licensing their reviews, user photos, real-time local business data, all of it, directly to OpenAI to feed ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah, they aren't waiting for a crawler to find them anymore. They built a direct proprietary pipeline. This really signals the birth of a closed content economy.
So, if Yelp locks down local data in this private deal with OpenAI, what does that actually mean for, say, a local hardware store owner in August 2026?
It means we are dealing with generative engine optimization, GEO.
Right.
If a user asks ChatGPT for the best local hardware store, the AI model might not even bother crawling the open web or looking at the hardware store's beautifully optimized website.
Oh, wow. So the website doesn't even matter.
Not for that specific query, no. It's going to query the licensed Yelp database instead. So for that hardware store owner, maintaining this immaculate, highly active Yelp profile is no longer just like reputation management.
Is their lifeline.
Exactly. It is a direct paid citation pipeline into ChatGPT's answers.
That is just wild. Like, your website could be technically perfect, but because of these private licensing deals happening in the background, it's completely irrelevant for that specific user query. Which I think naturally brings us to how people are actually searching in this new environment. Because if the back-end data is moving into these closed conversational AI systems, the front-end user experience has to change too, right?
Oh, fundamentally, yes.
Let's look at OpenAI's release of GPT-Live back in July 2026.
Right, and it was heavily marketed as a voice interface, obviously, but
Mhm.
classifying it just as voice search kind of misses the underlying paradigm shift.
Yeah.
GPT-Live alters the fundamental cognitive load of searching for information.
Exactly, because, you aren't typing hardware store near me and scanning a list of 10 blue links anymore.
No, not at all.
With GPT Live, you're having a fluid, multi-turn, natural speech conversation. Like, you can literally just say, hey, my basement is flooding. I need a hardware store open right now that sells heavy-duty sump pumps, and it needs to be within a 10-minute drive.
Right, and it just talks back to you with a synthesized, highly context-aware answer. And simultaneously, search engines are pushing entirely into personalized search journeys. They aren't just looking at the words in your query anymore.
What else are they looking at?
They are heavily weighing your past conversational history, your precise microlocation, and even what specific device you're holding at that exact moment.
And that deep personalization is what completely breaks the old model of SEO. Like,
Mhm.
I look at it as the transition from a public library to a high-end personal concierge.
Ooh, that's a good way to frame it.
Yeah, because the old search, that was the library catalog. You and I both look up a topic and we pull the exact same index card. We both see the same top 10 results.
Right.
But now, the search engine is a personal concierge. It knows my tastes, it knows your tastes, and if we ask the exact same question, it gives us completely different itineraries. But if that's the reality, I mean, if no two people are ever seeing the same search results anymore, doesn't that mean the ultimate holy grail of SEO, like ranking #1, is just a complete myth now?
It is entirely obsolete as a universal metric. As of this August 2026 data, targeting a global #1 spot is just a total waste of resources.
So what do you do instead?
You have to optimize for segment-level visibility. Because GPT Live and similar AI tools are conversational, they maintain state, meaning they actually remember what you said 3 or 4 questions ago.
Yeah.
So optimization now means anticipating the logical flow of a user's problem.
Wait, hold on. How do you optimize for a conversation that hasn't happened yet? Like, if someone asks about a pizza place, my website needs to somehow magically know they're going to ask if I have a patio before they actually ask it. How is that even possible to structure?
I know it sounds like magic, but it comes down to semantic hierarchy and entity relationships. The AI is constantly mapping the conceptual space of a topic.
Okay.
So if a user asks for pizza, the AI's internal logic tree already knows the most statistically probable follow-up constraints. It knows people will ask about dietary restrictions, parking, outdoor seating, and operating hours.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so your content needs to address those specific entities comprehensively and naturally within its structure. If you just have a basic landing page that says, best pizza in town, you lose.
Because it's a dead end for the AI.
Exactly. But if your site structure logically flows from the menu to vegan options to patio seating, the AI recognizes that your data satisfies that entire conversational branch, not just the initial prompt.
Okay, I follow the logic, but man, this sounds like an absolute nightmare to track. I mean, if universal ranking is dead and searches are these hyper-personalized, multi-turn spoken conversations, how in the world does a brand actually measure if any of this is working? Like, you're flying completely blind.
You would be if not for the new measurement toolkits that launched this summer. The platform monopolies are finally opening up the black box, really out of pure necessity to keep publishers engaged and spending money.
And the contrast in how Microsoft and Google are handling this is just fascinating. So in June 2026, Bing Webmaster Tools rolled out these incredibly robust AI performance reports. They dropped metrics like citation share, intents, topics, and compare metrics.
Very granular data.
Super granular. And then Google Search Console followed up with their own generative AI reports, but currently Google is only showing impressions like no actual click data yet. However, Google did add a massive feature in July 2026, platform properties.
Yeah, the introduction of platform properties by Google is perhaps the most significant redefinition of what a website actually is that we've seen in a decade.
Right, because creators can now track how their YouTube videos, their TikToks, and their Instagram posts are actively performing directly in Google Search and Google Discover. So Bing is giving us this actionable data like citation share. Like if I'm that local hardware store, Bing is literally telling me, hey, in AI conversations about sump pumps, your store is cited 40% of the time and your competitor is cited 60%.
Which is huge.
Right, but then Google is integrating TikTok straight into Search Console. So let me ask you, is Google officially treating like a 15-second social media video as a first-class SEO asset, like on par with a traditional coded website?
Unquestionably. And for the listener managing any kind of digital presence right now, this is a critical reality check. That quick vertical video you filmed on your phone explaining how to fix a leaky pipe is now a significantly more powerful search asset than a $10,000 blog structure.
That's crazy.
It is, but because Google's reports now show exactly which platform properties are cited by AI overviews, the proof is right there in the data.
But how does the AI actually do that? I mean, how does Google know what is inside a vertical TikTok video well enough to rank it for a complex spoken word conversational query?
It's doing a multimodal analysis. The AI isn't just looking at the hashtags or the caption. It ingests the auto-generated audio transcript, obviously. But it also uses advanced computer vision to parse the background.
Wait, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It literally identifies the brand of the wrench you are holding in the video. And most importantly, it analyzes the engagement velocity on the native platform.
Meaning how fast people are watching and sharing it?
Exactly. If users on TikTok watch your video to completion and then share it, Google's algorithm interprets that behavior as a massive, high-trust signal for the underlying topic. And then it surfaces that video in a traditional search query. It effectively turns Google Search Console into a full-spectrum AI visibility dashboard, and it completely blurs the line between social media and search.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and look at the sheer scale of what we are talking about here. The data you have to monitor as a brand is scattered across Bing's citation share, Google's video indexing, localized Yelp data, and these hyper-personalized conversational histories. A human marketing team literally cannot process this volume of signal noise.
No, it's computationally impossible for a human.
Right. Which brings us to one of the most, frankly, sci-fi elements of this August 2026 report, machines stepping in to do the actual optimization work. Enter the AI agents.
Agentic SEO is the industry term gaining traction for this.
Right. Tools like AirTop. We are talking about autonomous AI agents that don't just give you a list of recommendations, they independently execute the work. They do the keyword research, they run technical audits, they identify content gaps, and they literally log into your CMS to publish the optimized content.
Without human intervention.
Yes. They find a drop in citation share, and they just fix it in real time. Honestly, it is awe-inspiring, but it is also deeply terrifying. Like, it's like hiring a ghostwriter who hacks into your server, acts as their own legal and marketing team, and just publishes things without ever asking for your sign-up. I mean, how can any brand trust that?
Trust is absolutely the primary friction point right now. The allure, of course, is the speed and the scale. These agents can monitor thousands of micro-fluctuations in localized search and pivot your entire strategy instantly. But you're absolutely right about the risk. It is a monumental brand safety vulnerability.
It really is.
Because if an autonomous agent decides to alter your site's technical architecture, or worse, synthesizes and publishes content that contradicts your brand's core values, or violates legal compliance, the damage is instantaneous. The real challenge in August 2026 isn't getting the AI to do the work. It's building the governance guardrails so the AI doesn't burn your brand to the ground while trying to optimize it.
Right. It's about control. And, the machines aren't just taking over text and code. The visual landscape is shifting just as aggressively. So in July 2026, Google celebrated the 25th anniversary of Google Images.
A huge milestone.
Yeah, and they didn't just redesign the homepage, they injected custom AI image generation directly into AI overviews and the SERPs themselves. So you type a query, and Google just prompts a hyper-specific image into existence right there on the page.
Which fundamentally transitions Google Images from a discovery engine into a real-time creation engine.
But think about the downstream effect of that. If Google is generating a perfectly customized image of like a modern living room with a red letter sofa right in the search results, why would a user ever click through to an interior design blog or an artist's portfolio or even a stock photo site? Doesn't this just completely cannibalize the original human creators?
It certainly threatens the traditional traffic model for visual creators, without a doubt. But the 2026 data highlights a massive paradox in how this technology actually functions.
What do you mean?
Well, you would assume that on-the-fly AI generation makes traditional image SEO obsolete, right?
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
The reality is that it makes it exponentially more critical.
Wait, that seems completely counterintuitive. If the machine is painting its own picture, why does it care about my image SEO?
Because the machine is not truly creating from imagination. It is synthesizing based on its training data and real-time grounding. To generate an accurate, culturally relevant image of a modern living room, the AI relies heavily on accurately indexed original visual content as its ground truth. It needs a vast, well-labeled library to actually understand context. And this is exactly where technical elements like schema markup become your absolute best defense.
Okay, let's define schema markup for the listener, because it's a term thrown around constantly in this space, but it's rarely explained well.
Sure. Think of schema markup as a digital passport and a translation guide for your content. When a human looks at a picture of a red sofa on a website, they use their eyes and common sense to understand what it is. An AI bot can't do that.
Right, it just sees pixels.
Exactly. So schema markup is standardized code hidden in the back end of your website that explicitly tells the AI in a language it natively processes. This is a product, it is a sofa, the color is red, the material is leather, the creator is the specific brand.
So it strips away all the flowery human adjectives and just feeds the AI raw, structured data.
Precisely. If you want your brand's specific aesthetic or your actual physical products to influence the images Google's AI is generating on the SRP, you have to feed the AI impeccably structured visual data. Traditional image SEO, the alt text, the robust schema markup, the precise file names, that is exactly how you inject your original work into the AI's generation process.
So you have to meticulously optimize your original art just so the machine can read it, learn from it, and generate its own synthetic art for the user.
It's a wild paradox, but yes.
It really is. Which honestly leads us to the ultimate existential question of this entire deep dive. If AI is crawling the web and paying cover charges at the Cloudflare Gateway, if it's having fluid conversations with users on GPT-Live, if autonomous agents like AirTop are doing the SEO, and the search engines are generating the images on demand, what is actually left for the human being in this equation?
That is the defining challenge of this era. And the answer lies in the one thing an AI model simply cannot compute: verifiable reality. Search engines right now are placing a massive premium on content authenticity and verified human expertise.
We are talking about the experience component of EEAT, right? Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Yes, specifically that first E, experience, first-person narratives, original ground floor research, case studies of things that actually happen in the physical world, real-world credentials. AI models are miraculous synthesis engines. They can instantly paraphrase the entire history of agriculture. But an AI cannot experience the texture of a new fabric.
Right.
Cannot taste the bitterness of an espresso shot. It cannot attend a chaotic industry conference and read the room.
So, to synthesize this, in an internet flooded with infinitely perfect, flawlessly commoditized AI-generated content, being a real flawed human who actually got their hands dirty in the physical world is our single biggest competitive advantage.
It is, absolutely, but you have to prove it. You can't just claim you experienced it. You have to signal it computationally. Creators must lean heavily into original, raw photography showing the messy workbench, not just the polished final product.
Show the process.
Yes. And you need to verify your credentials using that strict schema markup we discussed, so the AI mathematically connects you to your real-world authority. You have to clearly demarcate where your authentic human insight ends and where you used AI assistance to format it. Because when the digital landscape is drowning in synthetic perfection, authenticated reality commands the absolute highest premium.
That is incredibly powerful. Let's trace the massive arc we just covered. We started by looking at the August 6, 2026 data, realizing the era of free AI crawling is completely dead. We saw publishers throwing up toll booths with Cloudflare's MCP gateway, and giants like Yelp bypassing the open web entirely to just license their data.
A total restructuring of web economics.
Exactly. And then we navigated the death of the universal search ranking, replaced by the hyper-personalized, multi-turn conversations of GPT-Live. We watched Bing and Google scramble to measure this new reality, elevating a casual TikTok video to the same exact SEO status as a corporate website. We confronted the very real brand safety risks of autonomous AI agents doing the work for us, and Google generating images on the fly. And finally, we landed on the profound realization that your authentic, real-world human experience is the most valuable asset you have left.
The velocity of this shift is just staggering. And if we look at the trajectory of these sources, it raises a really complex scenario. We've seen major platforms like Yelp licensing their user-structured data to AI for massive corporate profit.
Yeah.
At the same time, we know that first-person human experience is now the most highly prized content on the web. So, looking beyond the August 2026 snapshot, it raises a fascinating question for you, the listener, to consider. If the human experience is the core product, how long until everyday users, the people actually out there taking the photos and tasting the food, develop the tools to bypass the platforms entirely and directly license their own authenticated lives to AI models for individual profit?
Wow. I mean, if Yelp can build a toll booth for my restaurant review, it's only a matter of time before I figure out how to build one for myself.
Exactly.
It really makes you wonder when we start cutting out the middleman entirely. Well, thanks for diving into this absolute rewrite of the internet with us. Keep questioning the digital architecture you interact with every day, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.